Once again, I'm at a standstill for parts and waiting for epoxy to set up. I was trying to think of something neat to do for a video recently on like the forums and stuff, and I've got a couple questions about this in the past. People complaining about oilers being stingy these days. Steel in general, I see quite a few people complain about on the longer bars. The oilers just don't have the output. And I know Steel has some West Coast versions with some high output oilers, and some aftermarket companies also make high output oilers too. Well, I'm going to go through here how you can modify your own oiler for extra output. Most oilers, and these are all going to be out of Husky's 350 chassis because I have a pile of them around here. All oilers have a worm gear. They have a piston and a cylinder that they pump oil in and pump oil out the other side. Very simple. There's adjustment screw on most modern saws. This moves, there we go. This moves basically a stop screw that mates up against the oiler itself. When the screw is all the way out, it contacts the outer ridge of this surface, which is tapered. And as it rotates, that gives it the most throw. When you have an oiler run all the way in, the set screw rides against close to the center of the piston and the taper, so it has a shorter throw. Very simple setup and how to adjust an oiler. But if you have one that's all the way in the max position, which is the most travel available and the most output available, I'm going to show you how to modify this to get a little bit more output. I already do have one taken apart. Here's your cylinder and your assembly right here. Here's your piston. You can see it has a flat spot to take up basically a void where the oil gets captured and slung around to the other side. And see if I can show this. You can see the taper right there, and that discerns the max amount of the cc's or the volume it displaces as it goes back and forth. Now on this one, you can see a witness line that it was never really turned up all the way. It looks like it rode about 3/4 of the way to the center. What we are going to do is change that taper to be a little more extreme. We're going to leave the high side alone, and then we're going to bring down this ever so slightly. Now, more is not better when it comes to this. You can overdo it. These pistons are designed to set inside the cylinder at a certain point, and it takes very little. The throw on this one is stock 0.45 millimeters displacement and movement left and right. We're going to shoot for about 15% more capacity, which would put us at 0.5 millimeters throw in and out as it goes. This surface also has to be very smooth when you're done, and it has to be at a nice taper to it, otherwise things can get hung up. The way I like to do it is a very fine stone, and just start working your way around. I've done quite a few of these, so I can kind of get a feel for it, but whatever tool you're handy with. I don't like carbide because it leaves too rough of a surface, and this needs to glide over that pin smoothly, or you will get excessive wear on the set pin itself, and it just won't last very long. All I'm doing is rotating as I'm taking material down, leaving the high side. You can kind of see on the witness mark on the side of the machining of this that I'm leaving the high side up, and then as I rotate it down, you can see there's a ring that I'm already getting close to. And I can see that I've got my taper just a little bit humped. So I'll go back here and smooth that out. You want to go a little bit at a time because, if, like I said, if you take too much, it'll mess up your oiler. There. Now our throw is 49.57. Do that. Yep. 0. There we go. 49.65. And 9.65. Actually went a little too far. And that's what I mean by just a little bit at a time. And you can see how that's fairly smooth on there. What I'll do is take this over to my wire wheel and polish it. You want that to be smooth as it goes over this set screw. Otherwise it'll create wear on there. I'll do that quick. There you can see our polished surface, smoother than it was before. And you can see that witness line, how I'm just down inside of that. It does not take much. Probably turn this into a drinking game if I take a shot every time I say very little does a lot with an oiler. But you want to make sure that taper is super smooth and there's no hindrance on there. So when you put this back together, rotate it with your finger and make sure there's no catches. That has to glide perfectly. Otherwise it'll take out your worm gear or the oiler in general, because if it catches, it wants to flex this like so, and that's hard on the shaft, and it's really hard on the worm gear. Going backwards a little bit here, this is your set pin, and most of them will come apart like this, and it'll have a cotter pin that comes in through here that holds it up into place. Can't hardly see it on this one. It goes into a stepped groove. There's your pin right. Now focus. There's your pin right there. That holds this set screw in place, and it can drop out that way. Make a note of when you take this apart what surface is facing this way. You can take a Sharpie or whatever and make a mark there, or make a scribe on it. That's fine. But I'm going to put this back together and I'm going to show you what the throw looks like. All right, reassembled. Show you the stock one so you can see it with your eye micrometers and how much. Yeah, set that down. This is the stock throw. Kind of hard to see. Here's the modified. You can see that it has a little bit more travel than it did stock. Kind of a poor representation, but you get the idea how that works. This will give you more volume per revolution of the worm gear and give you a little bit better oiling. Yeah, once again, me rambling for a little bit, but if you learned something, hit the like, subscribe, helps out, and I'll see what I can come up with in the next video. Thanks for watching.